Hi there, welcome to B5 topic for biology, and today we're looking at waste disposal. So let's have a look at what our objectives will be. So during this lesson on waste disposal, what we are going to be looking at is how the kidney is able to process waste products and remove them from the body. Now within this we're going to look at the structure of parts of the kidney and look at how they actually work. Now, we may have come across the word excretion before, and it's normally referred to as removing waste products. Now, in the last lesson we looked at how the digestive system works, and when we remove undigested solid food, that's known as egestion. Now, excretion is slightly different. Now, excretion is where we get rid of waste products from body processes, and this can include various things such as urea, sweat, and carbon dioxide. Now, all of these are able or got rid of from the body. Now, urea is removed from the breakdown of amino acids in the liver, and the urea is moved by the kidneys and transferred to the bladder and released as urine. Now, sweat, which contains both water and salts, is excreted by sweat glands on the surface of the skin. The water evaporates, leaving the body a lot cooler, and carbon dioxide is left from, or waste from, respiration. Now, if there are high levels of carbon dioxide in the blood, then the brain will able to increase the removal of that carbon dioxide. Okay, so let's have a look at the organs that are involved with excretion then. Okay, now we've got here the lungs, which are obviously involved in respiration, so they're there with the removal of carbon dioxide from the body. We've also got the skin on the outside of the body that's there for the removal of sweat and salts and water. We've got the liver here, which breaks down the amino acids to produce urea, which is then processed by the kidneys, which kind of filters out what it does and doesn't want, and then that passes it out through the bladder and as urine. So let's have a look at a rough sketch or rough diagram of what a kidney looks like. Now we can see here we've got the renal artery. Now anything to do with renal means kidney. Now we've got the renal artery that comes in here with blood, and then we've got the renal vein, which takes the deoxygenated blood back to the heart. So what we've got here is blood with all the things that we don't want in, and then we've got the blood here with the stuff that we with the cleaner blood, if you like. And then here we've got the ureter that takes the waste products to the bladder. Now I have to be careful here because it's the ureter and not the urethra. Now, the way the kidneys do or filter out the stuff that we don't need is by a process known as selective reabsorption. And what this does is when the blood goes into the kidneys, everything that's in the blood is moved out of the kidneys. Out of the blood, and then it chooses what it wants to go back in, and then everything else will go back into the kidneys. Okay, so selective reabsorption, what we do is we look at the diagram here. We've got the pale yellow in the background is the inside of the kidney. We've then got the red renal artery that will bring all the things that are in the blood to the kidney, and then we've got the brighter yellow, which is the ureter that will remove any waste from the kidney. So in the renal artery we've got salts, we've got glucose, we've got water, we've got fatty acids, and we've got urea. Now all of those will move into the kidney, but some of them might be selectively reabsorbed. Now what then happens is the ones that we need, so for example salt, might go back in. Now with salt you might have lots of salt, so you need to get rid of some, so some will go as waste. The glucose will go back in, the water could go back in, and as with the salt, depending on the water concentration, some may be removed as well. The fatty acids will go back into the blood, as will the urea, which is a waste product, will then be removed. Now with the amount of water that you have reabsorbed could indicate your dehydration levels, and you can normally tell this by the colour of your urine. Now if you drink lots of water, you'll produce a pale coloured urine, whereas if you don't drink enough water, the water is lost through sweat, so you produce a concentrated urine, which tends to be very yellow. If it's green, you're in a bit of problem. Okay, so the kidney tubules, we're going to actually look at what actually happens in there. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so let's have a look at what actually happens. So the kidney tubule is sometimes referred to as a nephron. Now we've got here the red, which is the blood supply in from the renal artery. Now what then happens is the glomerulus, which is this part here, is where we have the water, lots of water and small molecules are squeezed out of the blood. Now this is under high pressure to get that out. Now then where we go from the capsule, which is this robot grip sort of shape here, we go through to here. Now this is where we have the selective reabsorption, so any useful stuff is reabsorbed back into the blood. Now once that's happened, we then have the blood and the waste moves towards this part. Now this end here, the bottom part here, is known as the loop of Henle. Now as we get nearer to the urethra here, we then have the regulation of salt and water. So at this point here, we've got the salt. If we've got too much salt, then we can get rid of it. If we've not got enough, then we can get rid of it. Now in terms of regulating water, this is actually done by the brain, and it's done by a chemical message. Now the chemical message is done via the antidiuretic hormone. Now you may have heard of the term diuretic for things like coffee, which means it makes you go to the toilet a lot. You know what the ADH does is it actually increases the permeability of the kidney tubules. Now this is an example of negative feedback. So let's have a look at how this actually works. Okay, so if we put this diagram here, you can see that the body here has got a low water level. Now this is detected by the brain, and the ADH is then released. The kidney tubules reabsorb more water, so you've got very concentrated urine, and then your water level increases. Now if you've been drinking lots of water, this is detected by the brain, it releases less ADH, so the kidney tubules reabsorb less water, and you've got large amounts of water in the urine, and then your water level drops, so you become normal again. Now, you may have heard of the term dialysis, and it's used for people that have kidney failure. It's quite often for people that have are waiting for a kidney transplant. Now, the way it works is blood is taken from the vein here, and it goes through into the dialysis machine. Now, when it gets into the machine, it comes into contact with a selectively permeable membrane, so it does the same job as the selective reabsorption in the kidneys. Now, the waste is then able to diffuse from the blood into the dialysis fluid, and then sodium and glucose are replaced back into the blood. The blood then goes back into the body. Now, this person here, it may have 2 or 3 dialysis sessions a week, and it may take up to about 3 hours for each session, so it is a hell of a long commitment. Some of you may know of Jonah Lomu, the famous New Zealand All Black rugby player. He has had a kidney transplant and is waiting for another one, and he currently goes through dialysis of about 3 or 4 times a week. Okay, so I've had a quick shirt change. Let's just review what we've done today. So we've looked at waste disposal and how we excrete things like urea, sweat and carbon dioxide. Now, the main one we've looked at today is the production of urine. Now, we've looked at how the kidneys function and what they do to selectively reabsorb the stuff that they need, so things like water, glucose, fatty acids, and then remove anything that we don't need. And that's done in the kidney tubules or nephrons, and then the water is controlled by the ADH, antidiuretic hormone. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.